the secrets of do-it-yourself SEO. And the first question is, when you create a new website for your business, a new business and a website, it's probably going to look very nice. It's going to be compelling. It's going to really present your business well. Friends and colleagues love it. Then you realize it may be a beautiful website, but what good does it do if no one gets to see it? It's just like a billboard in the woods. It's pretty useless. So there are two factors that govern where you show up in Google: relevance and reputation. And reputation, maybe I was being a little alliterative here. Reputation is now often referred to as authority on the web. How important are you? How well do you know what you're talking about? That sort of thing. Relevance has to do with what do customers search for? We tend to call those keywords, even though they're not words, they're phrases. How closely does a page on your site match that search? And reputation, is your site worthy of showing up highly in Google? Is it important enough? Well, let's talk about each of those in turn. Here's how to optimize your relevance. This is on-page optimization on your website. First of all, avoid thinking that everybody comes into the front door. If you are an attorney or a law firm, let's say, and you've got attorneys that work on workers' comp issues, you have personal injury lawyers, you have real estate lawyers. If somebody is looking for a real estate lawyer, don't expect your homepage to show up. They're going to show up on the page where you talk about real estate law on your website. We'll talk about each of these specific items in turn. The all-important keywords. Again, as I said, they're phrases, not words. Typically, you can optimize 2 or 3 per page, but Google has gotten so much better since I designed this slide. Google understands word roots. They understand various forms of a word. They understand synonyms now, which they didn't used to do. And when I first started doing this back in around 2000 or 2001, the secret to SEO was to include a keyword phrase verbatim about 4 or 5 times on the page. That makes for a page that is not very readable. It's a poor user experience. Google doesn't like it. You want to get 2 or 3 of the most important keyword phrases for the topic of the page. And when people search for those, it'll go directly to that page, not to your home page or your About Us page or anyplace else. First thing to do is do some research to find the keyword phrases that people use most. One of the rules that Google offers is ask 10 taxi drivers. And by that, they mean ask 10 people who are not in your line of work. If they needed what you sell or what service you offer, what would they search for? You may find phrases in there that you wouldn't think of. Select well-focused keywords, if you can, to distinguish buyers from people who are looking for general or related information. You know, if I'm just researching payroll to find out, you know, what's involved, I've got 2 or 3 employees, what do I need to worry about in terms of their payroll? That's different from somebody who's looking for a payroll company, a payroll service provider. So look for those well-focused keyword phrases. Don't waste your time optimizing for keywords people never search for. That's something that some SEO companies, mostly offshore companies, do to entice people in at very cheap prices. They will guarantee first page rankings in Google. Well, if they pick a keyword that nobody ever searches for, it's rather easy to get a first page ranking because nobody's going to be optimizing for that, except you. Consider compatibility. One of my clients was a doctor who specialized in fibromyalgia, and he said he wanted to show up for fibromyalgia if somebody searched for it. That was poorly focused. The goal he was looking for was fibromyalgia diets, fibromyalgia treatments, and fibromyalgia doctors. That's the difference between an unfocused keyword phrase and a focused one. Okay, you want to have Google-friendly site structure. What does that mean? First of all, avoid flash, Fortunately, Flash has been on its way out for a while, but back in the day, there were websites that were all in Flash. Google cannot navigate Flash, so those websites tended not to show up. Google loves fresh information, but if you've optimized a page on your website, you don't want to go changing it around just so Google will think it's new and fresh, because you're just as likely to de-optimize it as anything else. A blog on your website is the perfect place to include fresh information. What's new in your business? What aspects of what you do are people interested in learning more about or understanding better? That sort of thing that's the place to put new information for Google. Every page has a title tag. Title tag is not the headline on the page. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. A unique description tag, the title tag and the description are both things that are not expressly visible on the web page. They're in the code of the website. They're easy to put in, however. You want to make sure your site is mobile friendly. Google is now moving to a mobile first index, meaning that their index is not based upon what they see on your desktop website, but on your website as it appears on a phone. Early on, when smartphones were relatively new, websites that wanted to show up on a cell phone would have actually a different site. It had less information on it than the desktop site. It was quite different. Today, we're looking for web designers to design your site as a responsive site. Excuse me. Responsive means that the formatting of your website responds to the device that's looking at it.
Bill, before you go on to the next thing, we have a question from Kimberly. Does the blog need to be on the website, or can it be linked to YouTube and still be considered fresh info?
Okay, very good question. A blog needs to be on your website, on your domain. It needs to be at blog.mydomain.com or mydomain.com/blog. And the reason for that is, we'll get into this when we start talking about your authority on the web. But anybody that links to your blog posts, if your blog post is over on HubSpot, or it's over on WordPress.org or someplace, those inbound links are helping the authority of those sites, WordPress or HubSpot or Blogspot or whatever. If the blog is on your website, in your domain, then the people who link to your blog, those inbound links are helping your own authority, which will help you to rank higher.
Oh, that's fabulous. Another question from Deb. I recently heard a web company assert that you should write a series of blog posts, each that focus on one keyword, one post per keyword. Do you agree with this?
Yes and no. You can write a blog post about a number of related keywords, but a blog post should be about one rather specific topic.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. Secure. Google is looking for a secure web, a more secure web. If your website address starts with http:// and then www.mysite, that's not secure. You want to have HTTPS. So you need to work with your web person or your hosting person to get a secure certificate for your site that'll turn it into HTTPS. Used to be you only needed that if you were collecting social security card information or credit card information. Now Google is looking for all websites to be secure if at all possible, and all things being equal, you will rank higher if you're secure than if you're not. And fast page speed. Google likes websites that download in 2.5 seconds or less. They consider it okay if it takes up to 4 seconds to download. If it takes much more than that, it's going to hurt your rankings. And it's a twofold problem here. The first is that people are impatient. And if they do a Google search and they click on your site and they sit there drumming their fingers, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, they leave, they go back to Google and they pick something else from the Google list. Well, that tells Google they got to your site and didn't like what they found there. And that's going to cause Google to rank you lower in the future if that happens very often. But Google is also building page speed into its algorithm as a ranking factor. It's not a critical ranking factor like whether a keyword is present on your site or not, but it is a significant ranking factor. Okay, take advantage of graphics. Every graphic photo or line drawing on your website gives you 3 opportunities to put a keyword phrase that Google can see without slapping the reader in the face with that keyword phrase all the time and making it awkward. You can put keywords in the graphic file name. Instead of having img410.jpg, it can say something like Morristown Salon.jpg. You can put in alternate text. Alternate text is a remnant of the old days when we used to all have very slow dial-up modems. People would turn off display of graphics because it slowed down display of a page so much. All those pixels in that image took forever to download. So people would turn off display of graphics. They would see all the words on the page, but instead of the picture, there would be a rectangle, the size and shape of the picture, and in there would be a description called alternate text. And that description of that image can include keyword phrases, which Google will see and recognize. And if it's a link, like a button or something, you can put keywords in the title attribute. Again, this is not obvious to people on your website in general, but if somebody hovers their mouse over that image, like we're showing here in Gianna's restaurant, if you hover over that restaurant, the title attribute will pop up. And that's also a place. Now, it's designed to tell people what's going to happen if I click here. Okay, this will take you to our contact us page, or this will take you to more information, or this will take you to our menu. But it's also a place where you can include keyword phrases, and that just increases Google's understanding that, yes, that keyword phrase is something this website is really all about. Today, the alternate text, by the way, is still in use because there are people with visual difficulties who can't really read or see their screen clearly or at all, and they have their computer read to them. So in that case, when you get to an image on the page, it reads the alternate text. Text content. You should have 300 to 500 or more words of meaningful content on the page. Google is getting very good at determining whether a page is helpful and informative or whether it's just a bunch of malarkey or self-promotional verbosity there. 300 to 500 words. I would say 500 is better than 300. Part of that is that you want to have your keyword phrases in there a few times. If you've got 100 words of text and you're trying to put a keyword phrase or two in there a couple of times, 3 times, it's awful dense. It's kind of almost keyword stuffing, which provides a poor experience for the person reading it. And Google recognizes that as well and pays you back with lower rankings. Use your keyword phrases in headings with heading tags. Heading tags is something that your web person will understand. Basically, it brackets those words with the heading tag. Here's the heading start tag, then your heading, and after that, this is the end of the heading. That instead of having just the keyword phrase or having the heading say, make this bold, make it centered, make it blue, you say, heading 1 tag is my largest heading. I want it this size, I want it this color, I want it positioned this way. And then all you have to do is put those heading tags in there. Google understands that the words that it finds in headings are more important than other words on the page. Use your keywords in the body text. Use your keywords in link text. Don't just say click here. Say click here to order a widget. All of that should be the link text, the clickable text on the page. And use real text, not graphical text. And I'll give you an example of that in a minute. The page title, it's not the headline on the page. It's going to show up here in the title bar of your browser or in the tab when you're on a tab in a browser. This is a good page title. This, new page 1, is not. Page title also shows up as the headline of your listing in search results. That's not just Google, it's Bing, it's Yahoo, it's Ask, it's any place that page shows up. The page title is what's going to be the headline. So you want it to be compelling, to encourage people to click on it, but also to include your keyword phrases in there. I said a minute ago, avoid graphical text. Here's an example of graphical text. This is what appeared on this site. Actually, this example is an old one because most websites and web designers now understand this, but this is what you would see on this website. However, this is what Google saw. Not very helpful. No keyword phrases, does not help Google understand what this page is all about. It's likely to never show up anywhere. Okay, so all of that is on your relevance. It's on-page optimization, all stuff that you can do on your website to increase the odds that Google is going to show you. Now, that's half the deal. Once you've done all of that, if I'm searching for blue widgets and you have optimized your blue widgets page very well, Google is going to say, oh yeah, well, I'm going to show this page in among all the other pages I'm showing for blue widgets. The next decision Google makes is, how high am I going to show this page? At the top of the first page? At the bottom? Page 3? Page 17? That's based on your reputation or authority. Domain authority is something that there are tools out there that will let you see what the domain authority is on a page. It's on a, well, let's just quick look at this and I'll talk about each one in turn. We'll talk about domain authority, what makes a good link versus a bad link. How do you find link partners? If you want to ask people to link to you, how do you do that? How do you ask them to link to you? We'll cover some bad practices, things not to do. We'll talk about blogging and social media and a couple of cautions. So the first, what is authority? Basically, how important is your page on the web? You do not need to have a page authority of 95. You're not going to unless you're someplace like, I don't know, Costco or somebody. You need to be in the ballpark of your competitors. So if you are selling blue widgets and you search for blue widgets, you look and see who comes up on the first page of Google. Whatever the average authority is of those websites, that's kind of the ballpark you need to be in. For most of my clients who tend to be small and very small businesses, mostly local service businesses, they need to be in the mid to upper 20s. Some of my businesses need to be in the 30s, but I don't think I have any local businesses that need to be any higher than about 30, 35. Your page authority and domain authority are based on the number and quality of other websites that link to you. And some links are better than others, more powerful for you. We'll explain that next. But it's also based on links within your own site. You can have text links and page content. If you're talking about, let's say you do roofing and siding, and you're talking about roofing on your website, you can casually mention, oh, by the way, we also do siding, and have the siding link over to your siding page. Another thing about internal links, Google assumes the importance of a page is related to how many clicks does it take to get from your home page to the page in question. If it's one click away, that's an important page. If you have to click from the home page to a page, and then from that page you click to another page, or from that page to finally to your page that you're optimizing, Google thinks that's not a very important page on your site. It affects how likely that page is to rank. So what makes a good link? Well, the source page, whoever's linking to you. If I'm linking to you, my page authority is inherited, a portion of my page authority is inherited by your page. So if I have a page authority of 20, you're going to get a share of that added to your own, excuse me, your own authority. But if my page has a page authority of 3, well, it's not going to help you as much. And you can judge this based upon the ranking position of a website when you do a search. You also want limited outbound links on the source page. If I link to you from a page that has a page authority of 20, and if I have 10 outbound links on that page, you're going to be getting 1/10 of that value added to you. If I've got 2 links, then you're going to get half of that value. One-way links are better than reciprocal links. If I link to you and you link back to me, those are reciprocal links. But if I link to you and you don't necessarily link to me, well, that's a one-way link. That is quite a powerful link. But a reciprocal link is still far better than no link at all. When we do link building with our clients, we very often find that people will say, sure, yeah, I'll link to your client, but only if they link to me. Otherwise, why should I spend the time? And a reciprocal link is certainly an excellent kind of link. One of my clients a number of years ago was the Crystal Palace in Livingston, and we developed a lot of reciprocal links for them between bridal shops, tuxedo rental places, musicians that have played there, party planners, all sorts of other industries that were very closely related to them, made ideal reciprocal links, and it made perfect sense that Crystal Palace would link out to florists, for example, and also that the florists might link back to them. Relevant links count more than irrelevant ones. There are two kinds of relevance: topical relevance and geographic relevance. So if you are well, it's if you are a personal injury attorney, okay, a link from another kind of a lawyer, real estate lawyer or something, is topically relevant to you. So that link will count more for you than a link from the butcher store down the block. However, the link from the butcher store down the block will count more for you than a butcher store in Kansas City because they're relevant. So when you want to look for inbound links, think of who is related to you, who recommends people to you, who do you recommend your clients or customers out to ever, who are your vendors. All of those things are topically relevant. You have relationships with those kinds of people, ask them to link to you. Geographic relevance is also helpful. If you're in a networking group, I happen to be in a local chapter of BNI, I link to everybody in the group, and a lot of the people in the group link back to me. I've been encouraging people in the group to link to others in the group. They're not necessarily topically related, but they're geographically related. And as such, they're likely to know you and can recommend you via that link. First place to look for link partners is general purpose directories because they list a bunch of different sites in different categories, different kinds of businesses. Many are free. I happen to be an editor at Go Guides and at Scaffe, but there are a lot of others. There are fewer now than there were 10 years ago. Still a good place to get a link, usually not worth paying. But if you can get a free link at these places, do so. Vertical directories. If you're an attorney, you should be listed on FindLaw. If you're in New Jersey business, Metro NJ or NJ Biz are good. If you're in the trades, the Contractor Guide or House. Make sure you're listed there. I will tell you that vertical directories tend to be more likely to want to charge you a fee, either a one-time fee or a monthly or annual fee. It is very often worth that expense. If you have a blog, and you should, get listed in blog directories. There are about a half a dozen really good blog directories that we get our clients listed in. Look for related but non-competing websites. We talked about that, referral partners, vendors, that sort of thing. And then social media. You need to have a page on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Merchant Circle. Alignable is a relatively new one, but a good one. Some businesses do very well on Instagram. Don't just have a page there, though. You need to maintain an active page. If the last time you posted there was sometime last fall, it's not going to be doing you much good. How do you ask another website to link to you? Well, the first thing to do, and the easiest thing to do, is a personal email. You want to make it personalized. Those of us who have websites of long standing and good reputation get these emails all the time. So you don't want your email to look like just a standard spam link request. Today, I'm finding that's the frequency of that has dissipated greatly. But what I'm getting now, multiple times a day, are requests for people who want to guest post a blog on my blog, because the blog is has a good authority, and they want to write a guest post so they can have links back to themselves or to their clients if they're like web designers or whatever. So you want your email to stand apart. Then I recommend a phone call follow-up. I typically consider that email to be almost a throwaway as an excuse for the phone call. Did you see the email I sent you 3 days ago about linking with my client? 3 rules for incoming links. You want links not all to your home page. You want some of those links to go to your optimized internal pages. So for that law firm we talked about earlier, you want some links to go to the personal injury page, and you want some links to go to the divorce page, and you want some links to go to the real estate page, and so forth. Also, when you ask somebody to give you a link, it would help if you suggest what the link should say, the keywords in the link text. A link to your website where what's clickable is just http://www.mysite.com. That's not terribly helpful. But if it says the best blue widgets in New Jersey, and that's the clickable text, that helps. Vary your links. If you have too many inbound links that are exactly the same, they have the same words, they point to the same place, Google might think that you're cheating and you're working with a link seller, that you bought those links. If Google thinks you bought links, Google is not going to count those links. They won't necessarily hurt you, but they won't help you at all, and so it's just a waste of time and money to do that. Okay, bad link ideas. Do not pay anybody to link to you. Don't get listed on a link farm. Don't create dummy domains just so they can link to your main website. That's a tactic, fortunately, I'm seeing less of these days, but once upon a time, that was a big deal. People would create bestbluewidgets.com, bestredwidgets.com, bestgreenwidgets.com, and all those websites amounted to was basically a one-page website with a link that pointed to, widgetcity.com, which is your main website. You don't want reciprocal links with irrelevant or objectionable websites. Don't link with porn sites or gambling sites or whatever. Google is likely to think that somehow you're related to those objectionable businesses. Think of Google bombing. This back in the presidency of George W. Bush. If you did a search for miserable failure or worst president, the #1 result that would show up in Google was the official White House biography page of George W. Bush. Now, I'll guarantee you that that page was not optimized for miserable failure and didn't say that anywhere on the page. However, a bunch of people, as kind of a joke, had put those words on their website as a link to the official whitehouse.gov biography page. And Google saw all these links that said miserable failure pointing to that page. Oh, that page must be about miserable failure. So be careful about what inbound links to your website say, if you can. Don't outsource link building to offshore sweatshops. There are places out there that will guarantee you X number links from high authority websites. And when it happens, it turns out all those websites are in India. Not really helpful, and Google recognizes that as well. Having a blog. Remember, Google likes fresh content. This adds fresh content to your site regularly. And you can then leverage that through your social media. Every time you write a blog post, you want to have a quick description of it and a link to it from your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your Twitter page, and so forth. And your blogs can be cross-linked internally. If you mention a topic in your blog post that is dealt with in more detail in an earlier post, make it a link. Those links actually help that earlier post to rank higher. A few cautions about link building. It takes a while. Once you have an inbound link, It takes a while before Google notices the link, and then once Google notices it, it takes a while before it's fully indexed, and then once it's fully indexed, it takes a while for that to actually affect the rankings, and it's labor intensive, so have some patience. You also want new links coming in regularly, not too many at once. When we do SEO for a client, we structure it as a 12-month contract to start with, then it becomes month to month after that. But the reason we do that is that if we did all of the on-page optimization for the keyword relevance that we talked about earlier and did not do any link building, then it would have been all wasted and the client would have thought we did a lousy job. So by spreading it out over 12 months, we're building links every month. We're working on building in new links. If your website hasn't had an inbound link in a year, and then you get 12 new links in the next 2 weeks, and then you don't get any links for 2 months after that, Google is going to assume you went out somehow and bought those links. It's not going to count them. So you want regular incoming links, very naturally paced. Remember that you need your keywords in some of those incoming links. That's, related to the Google bombing thing. But blogging is a long-term, it's an ongoing commitment. I recommend you blog at least once a month. Weekly is probably better. I started out trying to blog weekly and found that I could not maintain that. My current goal is 2 blog posts a month, and I probably in the last year have not met that. But I unfailingly blog at least once a month. So that's my minimum recommendation for you. Local SEO. As I said before, about 50% of all searches are for local businesses. Odds are most of you are local businesses. People search by town, by county, by region, or by state, or they do near me searches. Indian restaurant near me. Well, mobile voice search works the same way. Those are almost all near me searches. And your goal is to show up in the local 3-pack, because that shows up near the top of the page, above even the organic listings. There are typically 3 listings in there, like you see here, although sometimes Google will sneak in 1 ad and 3 organic listings, and a map with little map pin icons to show you where these businesses are. In order to show up there are really 3 main factors here. One is your overall SEO, all the stuff we've been talking about so far. Number 2 is proximity to the searcher, and you have no control over that. Depends on where they are, if they're in their car, if they're at their home, but that is definitely a factor. And then there's prominence, and that is how prominent are you across the web? How widely are you listed with an NAP, your name, address, and phone number? And how consistent are they? In order to see how that looks for you, you can run a scan from my website at rankmagic.com. There's a place on the homepage. Also, if you click on the page for local SEO, there's a discussion of this, there's a little video, and then there's a button to click for a scan. And, excuse me, you can run a scan. It'll show you over about 60 or so local search engines, directories, maps, and apps, whether you show up or not, and how you show up. And after you've entered your name, address, and phone number, if any of these listings vary from either of those, you'll get a little red X next to it that'll show you, yep, this one is different. You should make it the same. I offer a subscription with Yext, which is the leader in location management that gives you a dashboard to put in all of the information about your business, starting with your name, address, and phone number. And then it puts you in about 70 to 75 local search engines, directories, maps, and apps, including places like Google and Yahoo Local and Bing Local, Facebook, show up on Alexa, and so forth. And it guarantees that they will be consistent across all of them. If you run that scan, by the way, to do it yourself, print out the result and consider it as a checklist for things that you need to do. Start at the top. The most important places are probably early on in that listing, in that scan. So if you're not showing up someplace, consider it a checklist. Go and get yourself listed there. If you have an old address or a bad phone number someplace, consider this a checklist. Go and fix it. It can take some time and attention, but it's well worth it. Stars, review stars. Third-party reviews are a ranking factor at Google. So you should ask delighted clients to review you on Google My Business, Facebook, Yelp, Superpages, Trustpilot. There are a number of websites out there. Not only are they a ranking factor, but they help your listing jump out from the page and increases the number of clicks that you're likely to get for it. First-party reviews can happen on your own site. However, Google recently stopped displaying stars for reviews on your own site. But if you do a search for yourself, and this is a question that we talked about early in this session, if somebody recommends you by name, they go and they look you up, how many places show up on the first page with stars? Well, hopefully you'll find your Google My Business listing over on the upper right-hand corner with some stars. Hopefully your Facebook page shows up indicating you're recommended, your Yelp page shows up with stars and so forth. The more stars that show up on that page, the better that person thinks you must be, and the more likely they are to go ahead and call you. That's where I wanted to start. If we have anybody with questions, let's talk about that. If anybody wants a quick example of what it's like to run a scan of your website, I'll be happy to do that as well.
Bill, I'm going to start with a question of my own, and then if anyone wants to volunteer for Bill to run a scan of their website, you could put it in the chat box. So while you're doing that, what if you're like me and you have a service business, and I operate through Zoom. Zoom is my location. And it doesn't matter that people know where I live. How important is it to, have that search near me kind of thing? And what tips can you provide someone who actually has clients outside of New Jersey as well?
Excellent question, and I'm like that too. I've had clients from Boston to Napa. However, I'm still very concerned about local searches. I had a client, probably within the last 6 months, who said, the reason I wanted to go with you is because you're here in New Jersey. I don't know, maybe if he gets angry at me or whatever, he can come and knock on my door, and that gives him some level of comfort, perhaps. I'm not sure. But showing up in local search, a lot of people look for, a business coach near me, a web designer near me. Not necessarily that they want to meet with you face-to-face over lunch to talk about their business, but that it's local and there's a level of comfort there. But also, in terms of just your business name and your phone number, those are not necessarily local issues, they're national issues. So if a lot of places out there have the previous name of your business, so let's say you're still listed as Right Click Advantage in most of those places, and somebody is looking for you by your current name, Google isn't sure which is you. And when Google isn't sure of something, that's not a good sign in terms of where you're going to show up. Or if some places have your fax number, some places have your toll-free number, some places have your local number. Again, Google isn't sure which is right. If Google isn't sure, they're less likely to show you prominently. Does that cover your question?
Yeah, I already wrote down a list of things I have to do, and and I'm sure everyone else is doing the same thing. So we have a few things lined up here. First from Kimberly, can you recommend a website builder? And I'm going to guess that means one of those kind of DIY things, like whether it's WordPress or Squarespace or whatever.
I don't like Yahoo Site Builder. I've got one client on there, and there were a number of SEO things we wanted to do, get in there and adjust his descriptions or his title tags or whatever, and maybe it was title attributes on links. I forget what it was, but we went to Yahoo and they said, oh no, you can't do that here. Sorry. The other problem with the do-it-yourself website is that very often, not always, but very often, the sites end up looking like they were designed by a non-professional. And a website that looks kind of amateurish is not going to, it's not going to convey the professionalism that you want to convey. I have a close friend who designed his own website, was very proud of it, but it looks like it was a homemade website, and he's a lawyer. I think it detracts from his professionalism. I typically recommend a professional web designer if you can.
Okay, cool. All right, so we have a bunch of stuff happening here. So I have some questions, and I also have some people volunteering their websites for a scan. Do you want to take the questions first, and then we'll see, we'll do a couple scans?
Sure.
Okay. All right, let's see. So from Deb again, what are your recommendations if you're updating your website so that you don't lose the good rankings you already have? And should you do SEO work before or after updating your site?
Oh, good question. I have a blog post, which you can probably find on my blog, the title of which was something like, why did my brand new website ruin my SEO rankings? It often happens. When you redesign your website, page URLs are likely to change. And when that happens, the authority that a given web page has built up from inbound links is lost, and the new website, the new web page is starting from scratch. There is a way to do that. It's called a 301 permanent redirect. That tells Google this page has moved and the new page should inherit the authority of the old URL. You need to do that for every page where the URL changes during your website redesign. If you know that that redesign is imminent, then I would not waste a lot of time trying to optimize the current page, but I would spend that time figuring out what your keyword phrases are going to be, working on your revisions to your content to include those keyword phrases, working on headlines and image file names and all of that kind of stuff while you're doing that redesign. But as soon as that redesign goes live, oh yeah, don't take down your old website while you're working on the redesign. Make sure the old website remains live throughout the process. And then as soon as the redesigned website goes live, you want to go in there and apply all those 301 redirects.
Cool. All right, so another question here is, if there is another business with a similar name, but in a completely different geographic region, is it advisable to buy all of the associated domains and then link to your main page, for example, all the .net, .info, .co sites to go to the main .com site?
You can certainly do that. It's not going to help you in terms of your optimization. What it is likely to do is just prevent your competitors from using those domains.
Okay, cool. And then Deb says, point of interest, I often get calls from prospects who specifically tell me they contacted me because I was not local. They didn't want an organizer who they'd run into in the grocery store. That's a really good point, avoiding embarrassment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I don't know how long it takes for you to do these scans, but I'll just give you a couple. I'm just going to do whoever gave it to me first. So the first one I have here is from Ginger. It's earthhorsehealing.com.
Okay, let me see. Did I save one of these pages? Not this. Hold on. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's run a scan. Okay.
That was Earth,
Okay.
Horse.
Am I sharing my screen or not?
You're not sharing your screen.
I'm not sharing my screen. Okay. Let's see. Share screen. Oh, I have to share. Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Now, what is this website again, or this business?
The URL is Earth.
Nope, I don't need an URL in a
Oh,
business name.
okay, Ginger, what is the business name? Earth Horse Healing? Yes. So it's Earth Horse Healing.
Did I get that right?
No, horse, like the animal. Yeah.
Okay, street address.
All right, Ginger. Street address.
I'll need the whole address and the phone number.
Okay, 251 West 14th Street. And the town is Ship Bottom, New Jersey, 08008.
Phone number.
And the phone number is 609-276-9766.
Okay, let's run a scan. You can find a button for this on my homepage at rankmagic.com, or if you go to Rank Magic, go to the local SEO page, and the button is down there at the bottom. Okay, well, that's not a good number to see, but let's examine why we've got 100% listing inaccuracy. It's not finding your Google My Business page or your Yahoo local page or your Bing Places page. It finds you on Facebook, but with a variation on the name and no street. Doesn't find you on Foursquare or Yelp or Dexnose or Superpages or MapQuest or any of these other places. Let's see, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Does find you on HotFrog, but without an address. That's it. So if you run this scan, print it out. Start out with Google My Business, probably the most important place for your business to be listed. Then go to Yahoo local, Bing local. Fix your thing in Facebook. And when you're in these places, don't just worry about your name, address, and phone number. Go ahead and fill out as much as they will let you fill out. Business hours, methods of payment you accept, description of your business, anything that it will let you, a copy of your logo, anything it will let you add there, you should add, because it'll make your listing more robust. It'll be larger and stand out from a lot of the run-of-the-mill listings there. As I said earlier, but I'll repeat now, the most important places to do this are kind of at the top of this list. So I would start at the top and work down until you get sick of it.
Cool. If anyone wants theirs done, you know what we need now. We need the name of your business, the address, and the phone number. So while people are doing that, we have another question. Do you have any tips for getting Yelp to show more of your reviews? They're hiding about 50 to 75% of my reviews, all of which are 5 stars.
I hear you. I hear you. I've got, I think 11 reviews on Yelp, and only 2 of them are showing up as recommended. The others are not. And there's no appealing there. It's all algorithmic, and I think the algorithm hasn't been changed in a long time. What you can do if you're asking somebody to give you a review on Yelp, see if they're a Yelper. Have they reviewed a number of other businesses in the past? If not, if they just sign into Yelp and write a single review and that's all, Yelp is going to suspect that that review is a self-serving review. They're your brother-in-law or something that you asked to write a review. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, don't just write a review, give it a number of stars and say, great business, or very helpful, or highly recommended. Be specific so that Yelp is more likely to consider it to be a real, live, legitimate review. But even with that said, you know, there's not a whole lot more that you can do to encourage that review to show up.
I think Yelp just mainly wants you to pay for their paid services.
They insist that that's not it. I don't know. There have been rumors going around for years that if you take out Google ads, that your organic listings will show up better, and that's patently not true.
Mm.
It's something people like to believe, but it isn't true.
Okay. So I have a couple that I have the full information on, and you guys are typing so fast, I have to scroll back up. So the next one we can look at, the name of the business is Fully Promoted Morristown. I think that's the name of the business, from George. So Fully Promoted Morristown. And the address is 16 Pine Street in Morristown, New Jersey, 07960. And the number is 973-267-3000.
Okay. This business already has power listings. So you've got a power listings subscription that makes sure that all your name, address, and phone number, all this other stuff is consistent. That's a wonderful thing. I love power listings. It will only show you your level of reviews here at those places that handle reviews. So all of these places you'll see in this listing do reviews, but you don't have any at a bunch of them. Typically, when you run something like this, though, if you want to see what these look like, you've got one review on Super Pages. We can click over here. It's live. We can say View Listing, and it will show you how you show up on Super Pages. You can see you've got a 4-star ranking, and we should be able to find the listing right here. Very friendly staff. Now, you'll notice here, though, what we've got. Embroid Me, is that the same as Fully Promoted Morristown? I guess it is. My guess is that you must be listed in power listings as Embroid Me. But it knows that you're open now. It's got your address. It's got a description of what you do. We have coupons. We have a logo and photos. We've got a detailed description of the business, phone number, all that stuff. All of that is coming from your power listings subscription. So that's really nice.
So what are the power listings, and how do we get a
Power listing? I'm a certified partner of Power Listings. It is a paid service. As long as you have an active subscription, it locks in all the information that you've entered so that they can't go back to an old Dun & Bradstreet page and pick up your old address or something and screw it up again. It's a subscription. It runs $75 a month. And it includes, if you get it through me, it's $75 a month. It's a bit cheaper than if you bought it directly from Yext, but you can. But if you subscribe through me, I help you manage it and get you all set up.
Okay. So let's go with Judith's Dessert. So the name of the business, let's bring you back over here. The name of the business is Judith's Dessert Boutique. 2 S's in desserts.
Sorry.
We always want more, so we have 2 S's. And that's, the address is 46 Dover Avenue, and the town is Ewing, New Jersey. Judith, I'm going to need a zip code and phone number from you. The phone number is 609-751-1154.
Zip code?
What's your zip code, Judith? Zero 8016.
Oops.
Oh, you forgot the 9.
Okay. Google looks good, but you have no reviews there. Yahoo has you in the wrong town. Bing is missing. Facebook looks good. You got 6 reviews there. That's wonderful. Foursquare, you're not there. Yelp has you in Lawrenceville. Got a bunch of missing places here. Where to? Where to has you listed. They've got a good listing there. Nope. Okay. So you have 5 listings out of about 60 possible listings. Go ahead and do this on my website. Just real quickly, I'll take you there so you can see what you need to do. At rankmagic.com, you can go over here to local SEO. We describe it all. We have a brief video at the bottom, and scan your location now. Or, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Or we can just go back to the home page and scroll down. Are you showing up in local listings? Find now, run a free scan. Once you run it, print it out, and then you'll always have it.
So I have a question on
Anybody else?
all these. Yeah, I have one more business, and then we'll do a couple more questions. All right. So the other business is Woodstock Trading Company.
Hold on. Let me get back to the form. Yep.
Okay. The address is 1880 Route 70 East, and that's in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The zip is 08003, and the phone is 846-424-6166.
Did I get that phone number right? I have this is showing 856 area code.
Oh yeah. What did I say? Oh, 846. Okay, it was actually 856-424-6166.
All right, let's fix that.
Yeah.
Oh, much better.
So while that's doing, I have a question. So do you have to, as an individual business owner, do you actually have to go into each and every one of these websites and create an account in order to fill in your business information?
You do, unless you subscribe to Power Listings. Some of these places, I wouldn't be at all surprised if this business never really submitted themselves to City Search, for example, or local.com, but they have picked it up from other places. When you go in there, a lot of these places will have a little link that says, is this your business? Or claim your listing. I recommend that you do that. That'll get you to the account setup page so that you can then manage that listing moving forward. So here, we are still missing from a few of these places, but most of what I see has got a good name, address, and phone number, and that's excellent. I'm not seeing any red X's here. I'm seeing, no reviews on Merchant Circle or City Search, but you've got reviews on Google and Facebook and Yelp, which are the three probably most important places. Nice job.
Cool.
You get an amber. You don't get a red.
Yeah. All right, so for the rest of you putting in your, so do what Bill says and go to his website and run the scan, and then you can, print it out, like you said, and keep it as a checklist. So we have another question. How do you manage this with a home-based business and you don't want to disclose your address? You can give your town, but you're not comfortable giving your home address.
Here's the deal. You need to give your home address. However, there's an option in power listings that says hide my street address. That works on most of these publishers, but I'm not sure I can guarantee it works on all of them. If you're doing it manually, when you go into Google My Business, what you want to do is you want to tell Google to hide your street address and tell Google that you are a service area business. That means that you perform your services at the client location. Once you do that, Google, unfortunately, Google I think is the only one right now, but Google My Business then will let you enter, it used to be 50, maybe it's 20, it's between 20 and 50 service areas. A service area could be as broad as, let's say, Morristown, or could be as broad as Morris County. Could be as local as Morristown. You could be by zip code, by zip code, by zip code, the towns you want to focus on or that are in, surrounding your business. So I would do that. In terms of hiding your listing, there's a little annotation in Power Listings that says if you check this, many of these listings will honor it, but not all of them. And I just yesterday put in a request to find out which ones will display the street and which ones will honor the request to withhold it.
Okay.
I haven't heard back yet.
So we have another question. Are the paid companies that help you get more reviews worth the high cost?
No. Companies that offer to get you reviews are mostly getting you false reviews. They don't have access to your customers or your clients. They are getting their friends in India or the Philippines or wherever to write phony reviews for you. And Yelp in particular, Google and others are using semantic analysis to identify fake reviews just by the way they're worded. I discourage you from doing that.
Cool. Okay, any other questions? We had a lot of information here. I think we're all making tons and tons of notes on things we need to correct. I definitely encourage you to get on Bill's website and run a scan, and also get on his newsletter list because he's always giving really great information on the latest SEO trends.
Can I interject something here, Susanna? In terms of getting reviews, I have something that has worked well for me and for a number of my clients, so let me just suggest this approach or something similar. I would ask a person, would you be willing to give me some online feedback? Or would you be willing to give me a review? If they say yes, say, great, I'll send you an email with a link. You don't want them to go on Yelp and have to hunt around to find you. So send them an email saying, thanks for being willing to write me a review. Just click here and turn the word here into a link to your page on Yelp or Facebook or wherever. And finish the sentence by saying, and look for the red box that says write a review at the top right, or scroll down till the blue link that says add a review, or whatever. Give them directions right on the page where to find that stuff, to make it as easy as possible for them to give you that review. I personally have an email that I've saved that has a line for every place I might want somebody to review me. Google, Yahoo, Bing, Facebook, Yelp, Super Pages, Dexnos, City Search, Merchant Circle. And what I do is when I send that email to somebody, I just delete all the ones for other than the one place I'm asking them to review me. And each one has a link directly to my page and an instruction on where to click to write the review.
So organized. So yeah, thank you, Ginger. This has been a big help. So can you go back to your website where they can subscribe to your newsletter, because Lashana is asking, how do I subscribe to his newsletter?
Gee, how do you subscribe to the newsletter? Hold on. Boy, that's a good question, isn't it? I think it's in the blog. Yep, go to the blog, sign up for our email newsletter right up here.
There we go. Woo, right, Bill? All right, thank you so much, Bill. You've given us so much information, given us a lot of homework. So this has been a great big help. We are recording it. We're going to put it on YouTube. If you want to sign up for Bill's newsletter, please go ahead and do that. And don't forget to sign up for your SCORE mentor. That person or a team of people is there for you to use for free for the entire life of your business. So go to score.org and find the little button that says find a mentor and get going. And then you will feel such a tremendous sense of relief when you're working with someone.